and welcome to the special transmission at PTV World. We're taking a look at, of course, the developing story and what is going on between India and Pakistan post, of course, the unfortunate and condemnable incident and the terrorist attack in Pahalgam, which unfortunately India has turned into a false propaganda, and in a series of measures taken against Pakistan, which of course has been reciprocated by the country, something that is concerning and of course needs to take a closer look at what is going on. At the same time, of course, unfortunately, people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir who are already suffering at the hands of Indian occupation forces and draconian laws in the occupied valley are suffering even more as India has begun demolishing houses in the occupied valley and resulting in damaging property and of course also causing damage to people's lives. And this is of course a lot of concern with reference to what has already happened in complete violation of what needs to be done in the occupied valley. However, we of course know that violations of international norms and traditions is not something new coming in from India. We've seen that happen in 2019 as well as part of the unilateral actions taken to revoke the special status of Jammu and Kashmir. And so because of that, a lot of these measures have been taken by the BJP and the Modi government, who has also stated a number of times what he has called justice. And this of course is resulting into the very targeted attack on the people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, of course the Muslims there, and of course the people of Kashmir who have the right to self-determination that has been taken away from them for decades. And added to their suffering, of course, is what is going on in the aftermath of the Pahalgam attack. So we're going to be taking a closer look at what is happening in the occupied valley and to try and understand what the current situation is and the impact that that creates, not just in the bilateral relationship with Pakistan, but for the people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and what really is the resolve forward, as Pakistan of course has always stood by the people and their right to self-determination. And this is of course something that needs to be dealt with a seriousness, and the international community must also respond. So we're going to be taking a closer look at that. For this and more, as always, I've been joined in the studios by senior analyst Pitafi and Raja Faisal. We've also been joined online by former Ambassador Mr. Baluch. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. And Ambassador Saab, I'm going to start with you first, given of course we've spoken about how a series of measures have been taken coming in first from India, of course, with Pakistan exercising a lot of responsibility and restraint, and then of course giving its own reciprocal measures to the uncalled for and unwarranted actions by India. But we've seen, unfortunately, that a lot of this is also narrowing down to the people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and they're suffering at the hands of these false accusations. And I want your take on this, because we've spoken about what has happened in 2019. We've spoken about the violations that exist, and of course, everything that is happening as part of that violation in the occupied valley. What is there to do for this matter, given the fact that we have brought forward the evidence that what has happened in Pahalgam is falsely being blamed on Pakistan? There is evidence, of course, of Indian involvement, and I want your take on what does that mean for us to fight this battle at an international platform for the plight of the people of the occupied valley.
Thank you, Sana. See, Kashmir and Pakistan and India, this issue has been since our independence, and we know the history of Kashmir's faults of affairs and so-called accession of instrument of accession, how it was kind of concocted, how it was stage managed, how Raja was coerced, and also that he was not allowed to. And in fact, the right of self-determination is very much codified in the sanctity of the UN Security Council in Resolution 47 of 1948. Now, since then, there have been several reiterations by the UN resolutions, several recommendations at various forums, including OIC and many other forums wherever we could go. But now a new game has started, unfortunately, since the BJP came into being, and that is to use this long-standing issue, which is supposed to be solved with the help of dialogue, with the help of ascertaining people's wishes. But to the contrary, we saw forced revocation of special status of Kashmir, attempts to change the entire demographic of Kashmir people. In fact, it's an attempt of completely
Right, absolutely. Ambassador Saab, I'll come back to you. We're experiencing some issues in hearing you properly, but I'll just come back to you. I'll go to you, Faisal, with reference to what we have seen, of course, recently, and in the ways that we know the kind of involvement that has existed previously of India and its occupation forces as well. We have so many reports coming in on what is happening in the occupied valley. What is there to be done about it, and where exactly are we going to approach this matter? What exactly is that platform, that institution? When we talk about the UN Security Council, we know that there are blatant violations that have existed since 2019. There hasn't been a way of actually binding a country to it or letting a country face the consequences. So what is the way forward?
Well, the way forward is, I think Pakistan need to get in touch with the friendly countries that are very influential countries not only in the region but the whole world as well, I must say. And when obviously we talk about Pakistan being taking all of this whatever we have in terms of our evidences, we have to take them evidences to United Nations Security Council once more. I know it doesn't matter to them, but to some extent, of course, in future, it should matter, because
it doesn't matter to them.
It doesn't matter so far. It doesn't matter to them at all. Why? Because they are not doing anything against India, which needs to be done. Since a long time, none of the journalists, they are allowed to, international journalists, they are not allowed to get into Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And when we talk about these kind of incidents, I mean, these kind of incidents, they simply ignite further miseries on the local Kashmiris. And this very incident, after that, of course, there were so many people who got picked up, especially the youthful people, and many of them, they were of course blamed of having links with the resistance movement. Well, everyone seeks freedom. Everyone seeks freedom in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir from 900,000 troops that are stationed out there of India. Indian rogue military is stationed out there, and they want the freedom. Whoever seeks freedom, they are being considered as part of militant resistance, and they somehow are involved in it. So they are being picked up, they are being few of them butchered, and then later on shown as they were part of the resistance movement. And when they were caught, they actually opened fire on the Indian military, and Indian military in response they have actually shot at them. That's why there were quite a few number of dead bodies which were being discovered. So many people in these 5 days, they gone missing, and simply later on they will be their bodies would be found from somewhere in the jungle or LOC or somewhere, and they would blame them of being someone who got trained, and they were coming back from in Pakistan side and Azad Jammu and Kashmir side, and that's how they got looked into by Indian military, and they countered them. So these are the atrocities which are being committed in today's Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. When it comes to countries like America, they only looking after their own endeavors, economic endeavors. They are looking after their influence in the region, and they believe as long as India can ensure that they can engage China in the region, that's all fine with them. Whatever the atrocities they want to commit, they are fully given a license to do that. And in this whole scenario, of course, the only thing which I see it as that Pakistan must carry on highlighting this issue, whatever the forum is provided with, and OIC is a good forum as well. Countries like Saudi Arabia, they have a huge influence. Middle Eastern countries, then Turkey has a huge influence, then Malaysia has a huge influence.
Over what?
Over the whole world, I must say, because OIC, you can never ignore them. OIC is a forum that is a serious forum, and OIC, if it is being highlighted out there, and with the full evidences, whatever India has been of course doing in Pakistan, and now they are conducting false flags or whatever the way these kind of incidents are being taking place. In this whole scenario, they are blaming Pakistan for it. Everyone knows that Pakistan is openly telling them probe it, probe this as well, and then probe the Jafar Express as well. Were many other incidents that taken place in Pakistan. Of course, Pakistan is fighting against terrorism, so they need to be probed. Whose hand is behind them? Of course, Pakistan has dossiers after dossiers in which we have proven again and again that India is involved in financing, facilitating terrorism in Pakistan, in Balochistan, in north of Pakistan, even in Punjab as well. So in this whole scenario, of course, Pakistan needs to keep on doing what Pakistan has been doing, and once again, I must say, countries like China, who have a huge standing in United Nations Security Council, they can play a pivotal role.
Right.
They can, of course, help out Pakistan in United
Sure.
Nations Security Council as well.
Let me actually build on that. Farooq, I want your opinion on this because while Faisal is of the opinion that these countries and these platforms such as the OIC has the power and they will be able to exert some influence, these countries have existed, these platforms have existed, and they know what's going on. They know what's going on in the occupied valley, and we've been putting that forward for quite some time now. But they haven't really chosen to do anything about it. So why would us approaching them now make a difference?
Right, Sana, thank you very much for the question. I think that first of all, let me actually disagree with Raja Saab here regarding America. I think that in President Trump's very well chosen words, you saw a balancing act. It wasn't out and out, support for India. It was declaration that he is close to both India and Pakistan, right? One mark of diplomacy is that usually diplomacy does not actually appear before your screens, right? What is happening, whatever happens, it happens behind the camera, behind the screens, and that continues. So I think that at this time, and I'm almost sure of it, that every important country is busy in trying to de-escalate this situation. May it be China, may it be Arab world, may it be Iran, may it be America, may even be Russia.
Yeah.
So with that kind of state of affairs, I don't think that we should be actually assuming that they are going to actually turn a blind eye or they are not going to support this or that situation, right? Whosoever violates peace will be seen as the problem, and I think at this moment it is India, especially given that there is clear sign in New Delhi that they might have jumped the gun, right? On one side, everybody is asking them for evidence. They have conducted or they have held these special briefings to foreign diplomats, and none of them was satisfied that there was enough evidence to implicate Pakistan in any way.
Yeah.
And yet you have gone forward and announced a suspension of IWT, Indus Water Treaty. Similarly, so many other announcements. So I don't think that anybody is buying India's position right now, and they see India as an irrational actor right now. So that should harm India's own position vis-a-vis the world, because the world is truly unhinged at this moment. If you are going to keep on doing this, you are harming yourself. And then there is this gift called Indian media that keeps giving. Their media seems to have gone bonkers, Sana. You realize that this is the age of non-fungible blockchain images, right? Records. So whatever you are seeing on television or social media becomes part of the public record, permanent record. It is never going to change. So if I must apologize for saying this, even verbalizing this. Spokesman of the ruling party comes on television. Let me tell you to all Muslims that I'm not circumcised. Come on, TMI, man, TMI, too much information, keep it inside. Similarly, another guy actually comes on YouTube, I think, and he is telling people how to eat fresh cow dung sandwich. Right, and sadly, all of this is going to play into the worst kind of stereotypes in the world, because at this moment, if you know, there has been a very clear campaign against Indian diaspora in the West. They, unfortunately, I shouldn't be once again repeating it, but they keep on using language. Like, remember, there was a time when Pakistanis were referred to pejoratively as Pakis, right? They are being called Panjit, right? With that kind of hate, do you further want to create an impossible situation for your own diaspora? I'm afraid if you keep on doling out this hatred on your live television and your social media, everyone in the world is going to turn on you. So this is a very dangerous situation for India itself and its own community. I hope they are sane enough to restrain themselves and de-escalate this situation, because at this moment, if you don't have evidence, if you don't have even the people who were perpetrators, what exactly are you doing? How do you conclude that it is Pakistan? And you're ready to risk a war with Pakistan? Both countries are nuclear. And when we mention that both countries are nuclear, they say it is nuclear blackmail. Oh, come on, man. Millions of lives are at stake here.
Right.
Why would you risk something like that?
Absolutely. We'll take a short break here and continue our discussion. Welcome back to the special transmission that is going on with reference to what is happening in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and of course the aftermath of the Pahalgam attack and India's decisions in this regard. And Ambassador Baluch, I'm going to come to you, and I'd love to have your thoughts, as you were continuing earlier as well, added into the discussion, but also do comment on when we talk about the ways that different platforms such as the UNSC or different countries can actually contribute to what is going on in a de-escalation of the situation, or even in support of the plight of the people of Kashmir. Something that hasn't happened so far, but given the current situation, is that something that countries will step into and take a look at what is really happening? And with reference to, of course, the ways that we have seen India jumping the gun, as Farooq was earlier pointing out, how exactly is this situation dealt with in diplomatic relations when a country is attacking another sovereign country falsely without evidence, and then severing diplomatic ties without really putting forward the reasons and the evidence behind it, and unable to explain that to the international community or diplomats or the international media as to what is going on? What is the consequence of such a false allegation? Can a country just do that and get away with it?
Yes, and I think it's a very, very important question. What would be the implications now of what India aggressively has done? Obviously, first of all, I think the region, the South Asia as a region, is the biggest loser. It has been so because of obviously high-handedness, the way and in a most uncooperative way, India has been not cooperating with its neighbors. In fact, all the neighbors are angry with India, and the way it was SAARC, which was a great regional cooperation organization, but how it was made to die a slow death at the hands of India and its intransigence. So definitely this situation which has now emerged, which is based on allegations without any evidence. Obviously, Pakistan missions abroad, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I'm sure they must be approaching their host governments, and they would know. And definitely any country which blames its neighbor or any third country totally falsely, so the immediate casualty is its own credibility. And especially if a country which is aspiring to play a larger role on the world stage, and it is found to be falsely accusing and threatening the neighbors, it's a very serious thing. But I think what we need to do at this point of time is, definitely we have a deterrence, and I hope, I mean, there are dangers of the war, but I hope a better sense will prevail in India as well, that how devastating this military misadventure could be if they really embarked upon it. But for me, most important thing which has to be highlighted internationally is the suspension of Indus Water Treaty, because it was a solemn treaty of sharing of water transboundary rivers, and it was like 1960s. It was signed. It was treated as a model how it should work, and it withstood 3 or 4 wars between us. And suddenly this unsubstantiated excuse on which they have just suspended means it was kind of pre-planned. I know somehow when I see this and I look back to 1971 when the Ganga aeroplane was hijacked, and how it was a prelude to a war of aggression in East Pakistan. Kind of there is a same dark book as if they are repeating it in different ways. So I think India has a lot of explaining to do to her own people. And people are asking now in India that where did your so-called 500,000 security people go? Where did the police go? Where did this all that go? And also that it was the most frequented tourist place. Why was not made sure that it has a total zero chances of any sabotage? Why did they go away? As if were they given the terrorists were given the free space to go and do what they did. So I think there are several questions on which I think the Indian government have to do explaining to its own people, to the world, to all the capitals. Now for Pakistan, I think we have reached out to several capitals. Our foreign minister has been busy talking to most of the important capitals of the world: Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Turkey, and I think many other who really have influence in the region, and to whom we have explained our point of view, and that is how you go about it. So I think at the diplomatic front, I think the most successful, vindication of Pakistan's position was the UNSC, United Nations Security Council resolution, which was passed despite India's efforts to implicate Pakistan, but it did not make any mention. In fact, it asked for cooperation with the concerned authority. Not even India was mentioned. So in a way, if you look at the overall context, the statement, I think it is that the world understands that there's nothing truth to what is being propagated by the Indian authorities or by their media. So I think in this comments I would say that they really have to cool down. They really have to not get their people out of.
Right. Ambassador Saab, I also want your take while you talk about how people are understanding and seeing through these false allegations or statements coming in from the state or the media. Are the people in India also seeing through that? Because we've seen, of course, the Indian occupied valley is under attack. We know that Muslims in India are also, of course, threatened by this environment. And so are there people within the Indian population that can actually hold their country or their government accountable?
Well, hold accountable, yes, in the sense that at least there is an opinion which is emerging that it is always some kind of election which is always coming, and there are these events that they take place. You can start with Pulwama to many other several such issues which has happened. And in fact, now what is happening is that Muslims as a community, Muslims as people are being used as whipping boy by the BJP. And because their entire philosophy of politics and power depends on hatred, on otherness, on communalism. So I think and total exclusivity of other nationalities. In fact, if you look at, I think we have discussed earlier also that the actual vote support is less than 30% as far as BJP is concerned, but it's all other such gimmickry, control of the media, control of the corporate sector, control of the narratives and social media, which that is how they are kind of, they want some kind of a excuse, some kind of an event to remain in power and enhance their power, which is not really reflective of the broader opinion in India. So I think what one reads in the papers, listen to their media, there are voices, dissenting voices, that they got to also look at their own kind of in-house also, that where did they fail. In fact, none of the ministers has resigned. He should have resigned. Amit Nath, why didn't he resign? Because it's a major failure. So I think there are a lot of issues. BJP, the way it is using terror as an excuse to remain in power, to win elections, and to profile Muslims and Pakistan as an excuse to remain in power. I mean, there was one comment I think I heard that how Hindu being in majority in India are khatre mein hai Hindu, how they are in danger, and that's kind of a ridiculous slogan that the BJP officials try to sell it in the market. But I think probably they are reaching their end of the frenzy of selling this hatred, selling this otherness, selling this Muslims as the enemies of India and Pakistan as the mortal enemy of India's existence. So I think people do understand it. The world obviously understands it, but now people within India are understanding it. In fact, you must have heard the comment of Arundhati Roy. She said that it is that elite in India. People of India has nothing to do with the hatred that is shown by the BJP. So I think we need to understand that, and we need to really also send messages to that part of India which wants sanity, which wants to coexist with Pakistan.
Absolutely. And Ambassador Saab, with regards to probing the investigation, we've seen that there is a call of independent investigation. We've seen that previously as well in certain incidents, that while of course that is what should be done, how can we trust any such investigation given that we know that the BJP is also involved in these acts?
Definitely, I think we have emphasized, and the Prime Minister, no less than the Prime Minister himself, has said that a objective and a neutral investigation has to be done. It can't be, we can't rely, because without investigation, when they can blame us, so how will they go back and exonerate us? No, they won't, obviously. I mean, the BJP, I don't expect them that if they initiate a investigation without the oversight by another neutral body, it will not be possible, or like co-investigation. But they need to be held responsible, and they will be definitely, the truth will come out. It is not possible that it will be hidden forever. And I think we should continue to work on this narrative of our Prime Minister, that we will be very happy to collaborate on a neutral investigation, and so that we reach at the bottom of this horrible incident that took place. Obviously, none of us in Pakistan really, or anybody in the world, would like that these civilians are killed by extremists or militants or whatever name one can give it to them. So I think, and several of our leaders have condemned it. But to use water as a weapon of revenge, that is where my problem is, that this needs to be projected in the world. This needs to be talked about, and ways and means have to be found how to deny India to use water as a weapon of revenge. And that is a problem, because it's not a weapon which will come against only Pakistan. Of course, it will come against the people of Pakistan, but it will destroy the fauna and flora of the Indus River system entirely. A civilization. And also, that I was reading somewhere, and I don't know whether I shared with you in the earlier program, that if they try to obstruct the water of the Indus River system, it will not be only downstream, there will be huge implications for the upstream also, because what will happen is that there is a whole hydraulic ecosystem connected to these rivers. There are glaciers, there are several other phenomena which will get disturbed, and in this very time when our environment is in danger, and any human intervention which is not based on scientific research or any immediate need, but again as the revenge, definitely will be counterproductive. It will be bad for the earth. It will be bad for the entire river system, and bad for the civilization. We don't know what are they trying to do with the water. So, and in fact, some people have challenged them that, is it a water tap that you'd close it? So I think it's more political than actually they can do it. Nonetheless, it does set a wrong precedence in the world. That is where I think we need to work, that if India uses the water as a weapon of revenge, somebody else will do it, because there are several countries who share the waters, and water is a common heritage of human beings. We just use it. God Almighty has given us, the Mother Nature has given us all these to sort of
Absolutely, that's very essential. Thank you very much, Ambassador Baluch, for joining us and sharing your views with us. And Faisal, I'll take your viewpoint here, particularly with reference to the Indus Water Treaty and India's capability even to do something about it, and then also with reference to the probe, which Pakistan, of course, has offered and is very, very confident about a neutral probe, but we haven't seen that happening in the past. Is there anybody that can actually sign up for this, and will India allow it?
Well, this is you know, while I was listening to Ambassador Saab, of course, there are certain points that seem so unreal coming from the Indian side. It's more of a, you know, last time around when Modi talked about the you know, all of these radars and weather was
Cloud cover.
And all of that. You know, it made us laugh at that time, and now this is actually such a funny stuff which is coming from and it's more of a, you know, meme stuff for the social media. Reason being, if we talk about you know, the capacity of the Indian side to store that water, it's around 4 billion cusics they have. And what is the total you know, water that actually gets pushed towards Pakistan? It's 120 billion cusics every year. In this scenario, are they going to like dig some kind of tunnels underneath their own country and take it somewhere, Rajasthan, or what? They can take it somewhere else? I mean, this is madness, utter madness. When we talk about Indus civilization, it is one of the 3 most ancient civilizations of the world. Amazon, then River Nile, and then River Indus. These 3 river civilizations. Of course, Pakistan is right on the top of Indus civilization. Are they thinking about destroying this Indus civilization?
Yeah.
As Ambassador Saab has rightly pointed out, there is a set number of and set species of birds. There is a set number of even trees and all of these plants that are only growing here just because of one reason, that the water is being supplied from obviously you know, all of these mountains, and if that water isn't there, then maybe them birds would have to go away from there, and then them trees won't be growing there. In this whole scenario, they are going to temper a historic civilization. Whether the world would allow them to do that or not, that only time will tell. Whether they have the capacity to do it, only time will tell. We know that 2 years ago they have been keeping water from coming from their side, Himachal Pradesh side to Ravi River since a long time. What happened 2 years ago? 2 years ago they had the worst kind of floods in their own country. Why? Because they have been tempering, and they have been obviously creating hurdles in that water supply. You can't temper the natural waterways. You can't temper them. I think BJP has a very good rule of only waiting till 75 years of age of any of the Prime Minister. Later on, I think they should be sent to a scrapyard. Modi, it's time for Modi to be sent to the scrapyard. Well, last time around he had the same capacity. Of course, I'm talking about February 2019. He had the same capacity at that time. He should have been sent to scrapyard at that time. But now, I think while he's thinking about tempering the natural waterways and nature itself,
right.
I think this is, we had enough of it.
Right,
absolutely. Indian people, they seriously think about it. What kind of person is ruling over them?
And Farooq, you can add to this and comment on it as well, but I want your take also with reference to when we talked about jumping the gun, or the fact that there is Indian state media representatives and the kind of rhetoric that it's pushing forward. It's also, of course, instigating the public a lot. I want your take on what then is the next move for India. What is the face-saving option? How does India actually go back from where they stand today?
Yeah, I'm going to definitely talk about that, but first actually sending human beings to a scrapyard. I don't think that is called for. I think that the moment Narendra Modi retires and somebody else from his party actually takes over, you will recall him, and you would have said that he was much better. And I think this is the general regression of times. He is at least broken into the diplomatic world, so he has the statecraft and statesman image that he wants to go for. So you can work with that, I can work with that, right? Regarding the overall situation, I think that India's competence, and I kid you not, 20 years ago, when it came to actually diverting waters, India's competence was more than what it is today. And that speaks to the kind of pseudo-scientific mentality they have developed, right? Remember, these are people who now believe that radioactivity can be stopped via cow dung, right? If, God forbid, you were to inhale that propaganda and do it. Or for example, Hanuman Chalisa can be a cure of COVID, right? It is exactly like our people, our Johnnies who used to say that genies can be used to generate electricity. When you actually move towards that pseudo-scientific worldview, your capacity vanishes, and this is exactly what is happening. Now, what can be done for face saving? I have been telling you about that for quite some time, since it all started. Number one, localize the issue, find the actual culprits, punish them. That will give this tiger that you're riding, the media, some kind of solace, right? Second, say that the world wants to engage and we are accepting Pakistan's demand for evidence, right? Whatever the evidence, use any common ally. We have many common friends, like from Saudis and Iran to America, China, and so many others. Use any of them, and there you can have any kind of interaction, and in that technical interaction, you can take care of these issues. Then finally, IWT. Then when everything has deflated, then you can silently unsuspend whatever thing you have done, and Pakistan can lift the ban on airspace, and then things can normalize. I think that there is a great hope or possibility, if they, although it hardly ever happens, but there is a possibility if you start doing it. If I'm not sure whether Narendra Modi is going to retire in October or September or not when he turns 75, but if he were to actually graduate further, peace building between India and Pakistan is ripe for a Nobel Prize on both sides. You can retire as statesman, you can come back as your country's president with Amit Shah or whosoever you want as your prime minister. But at this moment, the right call is to de-escalate, localize. But the problem is, because blaming Pakistan is easy. Finding culprits, apprehending them, punishing them is difficult. So far, they have gone to their homes so that they have the ID. They have destroyed their homes, but they haven't apprehended the people. So without that apprehension, without that arrangement, you cannot actually deflate the situation. I hope the saner voices are listening, because otherwise, if you start something that you cannot control, we cannot control, you are in for such a big surprise, I kid you not, that Indians will know wouldn't know what hit them.
Absolutely, of course, that is a matter of concern. We have to quickly take a break.
Sana, one line.
Yes.
Sana, when it comes to, of course, Modi ji, I think the whole region and the whole world would miss Modi ji. Reason being, he's the only politician in the world who had masters in whole political science.
Entire political
Entire political
Right. We're going to take a short break and listen to the headlines and be back with more discussions on this.